to all. This is Vijay Kumar Devarkonda. I'm basically an engineer from Osmania University and I've done my management studies from IIM Bangalore. Subsequently, I've also done my PhD in management, specifically in the education sector. I have more than 25 plus years in the education sector post my IIM Bangalore stint, and currently I'm the co-founder of an international standard school in Hyderabad. I have come into this education sector by choice and made a very conscious decision of coming back to India in 2002 and get into the sector. One of the key goals of the higher education system is to empower a student or a child with all the life skills required for the child to move ahead with his career and life at large. And the biggest challenge for a student or a child today in the higher education sector is, are they getting ready or are they ready for getting into the industry and prepare or start laying their foundations for life? It is a known fact that there is a huge gap between the industry requirements and what the child is acquiring when he's coming out of these institutions. So I think it is very, very important for us who are in this sector to understand the basic fact that we need to bridge this, what the child needs and what the industry is needing. And this is where it becomes very critical, because it's not like how it was when we were young. It is also observed that once the student enters the industry, after about 10 to 15 years, there is always been a shift in the career choices that the student has made. For example, especially during our times, now the times are changing, but I'm predominantly you can actually see, the career shifts happening. Like during our times, if you ask me at a very personal level, I don't know why I did my engineering. It's just that we were doing well in math and our teachers and parents encouraged us to do engineering. Fortunately, we got good ranks, we got into engineering. After doing our engineering, you didn't like engineering. I personally didn't like engineering that I went through. Then I made a conscious decision as which is the most easiest or the way to get out of it is management. So I had taken the all management entrances, cracked it, and then made it to an IIM. Subsequently, after working in the industry and as we were growing up, after a decade or so, then you realize that what you are actually doing is not what you are enjoying doing. And made a very conscious decision at that point of time when you are 33, 35 years of age. You made a decision to get into the education sector. So I lock, stock, barrel, I dumped everything and came back to India and got into the education sector. And that's what I have been chasing for the last 15 years plus. But today's children are definitely a little lucky and better because the previous generations like us have gone through this, and we've realized that if you are able to make a decision with respect to your career and life at an early age, you'll not be vegetating doing something that you don't like. So the message that I wanted to communicate through the platform of Edify Path is, let's help a child first decide and understand what they wanted to do with respect to their career and life, and then subsequently get into the fold of imparting the skills required for him to be successful. So the crux of whole thing is to help the child identify what the child's interests are all about and what the child is passionate about, and help the child develop a career in the area of interest and passion rather than opportunities that are available in terms of careers that are available today. In fact, today's child is in a better position than that we were 30 years ago or our generation. Today, you have umpteen number of engineers graduating, in the country. But let's look back and see, are all engineers want to pursue career in engineering or software or, any of the areas that they have done their undergraduation in? To be honest, as far as my knowledge goes, after interacting with more than 25 plus thousand students across the country, sorry to say this, no. Most of them would love to do a lot of things that are available to them rather than just pursue a career in engineering as such. So it becomes very important for us to identify what the student needs or what the student wants to do and help him grow in those areas. For example, if a student is interested in cooking, let him become a chef. If an engineer wants to become a chef, if an engineer wants to become a film director, let him become one. Okay, why should we always push the child towards whatever academia background he's got? Because eventually after some point of time he's going to make those little choices. I have so many friends from Hyderabad city itself who have grown up along with us, today are there in the areas which they are passionate about. In fact, if you look at it, their basic education has got nothing to do what they're doing today. But in the process, I think all of us have wasted at least a decade or more of our careers spending in areas that we were not comfortable. Imagine if somebody could have identified that at the age of 21, 22, that this is what the student is interested in and a career is built on those lines. I think most of us would have been far ahead than what we are today. For example, when you look at my classmate Nagesh Kukunur, who's basically a chemical engineer, did his MS working for Coca-Cola, quitting everything and moving into the film world and has become a great director today. Same is the case with another friend of mine, Hari Rao, who was an income tax commissioner, dumped everything and today he's a chef. Similarly, Hari Mohan, another classmate or batchmate of mine from Osmania College of Engineering, has dumped the corporate world and is an author today. And each one of these guys who have chosen their paths have done phenomenally well. But if you ask me at a very personal level, including myself, we have wasted about close to a decade, spending or wasting our time in the corporate world. For example, if you look at the contemporary world, when we look at the young Tarun Bhaskars or the young heroes and the heroines, they have chased what they wanted to chase very passionately and reached where they have supposed to reach. So, but there's a lot of hard work that is required and there is no structured framework as such that can help these, folks reach their dream destinations. The chosen paths are very difficult. This is where the hand-holding by the education institutions, parents and companies like Edify Path should play a very critical role in terms of empowering these young minds to chase what they want to chase and provide them with the required skills to move forward. The reason behind the skill gaps, if you actually analyze over the last 30 to 40 years, is basically, I would say, it is because of the parental pressures and academia, both put together. If you actually look at it, from grade 6th, 7th onwards, a child is pushed into only academics and all the other required holistic abilities for a child to be successful in life are completely cut out. Even in higher education institutions, when you look at it, it is only academia in terms of only academics, and exams, and nothing else is actually concentrated. Fundamentally, typically if you look at an a higher education institution, they should be in a position to train their students to the industry requirement. But if you look at the curriculums, most of the curriculums are actually age old and outdated. But most of the institutions also are very proactive in terms of identifying what the gaps are and they're plugging in with these courses. It's not just courses alone that enhance the skill of a student and meet the expectations of the industry. It is also what we strongly believe in. The school of thought is it has to be holistic education, not just training the student in these required specific skills is going to make him successful in the industry. With the advent of the pandemic, the complete education sector got disturbed. So it becomes even more difficult for a student today to empower himself with the required skills to go out into the real world. So I think it's a tough job, but we have no choice, unfortunately. So use as many online resources possible and get acquainted with how do you acquire knowledge, from the web. Because as we go by, it is definitely going to be more of a hybrid kind of a model, that is offline as well as online learning. So get as many online certificates as possible, with any of the career choices that you have. And all career choices that are available already have certification courses online. Lastly, I would like to thank EdifyPath for giving me this opportunity, and also wish all the students of EdifyPath a good luck for all your endeavors in life. Thank you.